What's up, everyone? It is Friday. No Sunday stream. Why? Because I'm going to be sitting in the stadium, as always, at the New York Giants home opener against the vaunted Minnesota Vikings. I don't know, man. Sometimes you have home openers and you're like, you have a home opener against Dallas like last year, or you have a home opener against the 49ers. And there's this, there's this buildup, this crescendo. You are ready to dive into this, into the season, and you are ready to make everything just seem like it's going to be perfect. And then you get a game like this, where both teams are pretty much on I guess we refer to as the downslide, or in the rebuild mode. You don't have JJ McCarthy, so you have the Sam Darnold. I mean, so would this be considered a primetime marquee matchup? No, not even close. Last night was Kansas City, Baltimore. Game comes down to the wire. Game comes down to that play that within a toe. You got Eagles Green Bay tonight at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, and then you got the 1:00 game with the Giants and the Vikings. I mean, it's the Giants. The Vikings defense. I mean, this is not a premier game to make a decision on the talent level of our offensive line, because of the fact that I consider the Vikings maybe within top 20, 25, maybe best defense. I mean, maybe they're around 20th overall. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of older talent. They've sprinkled in some new guys. You got Brian Flores. This is going to be a little bit maybe of a revenge game, but it's they're not that big huge pass rush game that you would expect. I'm not going to sit there and say that the Giants offensive line can't play extremely well against this team. The secondary, with Stephon Gilmore, and a couple other guys here and there, a little bit older. But they're savvy. Is it a game that we can get behind this secondary? I think so. I think with this, just between the speed alone between Neighbors and Hyatt, you should have the opportunity to get behind the secondary. It's a game that I've said it before. I could easily see the Giants winning this one 21-17. I also can easily see them losing at 35-10. So is this going to be a barometer on the season, this game? I don't think so. I think this week and more next week, because you're going to be at home against what should be an improved Washington team with a interesting quarterback, with Jaden Daniels. So, I mean, it's one of those things that I think it's going to be after week 2. I still think the Giants are going to be 1-1 after week 2, but then I could potentially see them dropping 7 straight games. So it's really going to depend on the play of the defense. It's going to depend on the play of Daniel Jones. Malik Neighbors, God bless him. So many people are like, hey, he's going to do this. He's going to do this. But okay, just wait. Let him do something. What? How about we let Malik Neighbors catch an official NFL pass? Because I don't want to break the news to people, and I'm not trying to say anything about Malik Neighbors. But there have been plenty of first round wide receiver busts in the NFL. People forget about that. People forget you go all the way back to what's his name? What was it? Laquan Treadwell, 23rd overall with the Vikings. Back, I think I forget what year it was. You forget about 7th overall pick Kevin White of Chicago. Justin Blackmon was more of a drug issue. Hell, does anyone remember Carlos Rogers, 2nd overall pick? You also got the likes of, Henry Ruggs III, but again, that was more of his own issues. But there have been plenty of guys that have been taken high enough in the draft and turned out to be a bust at the wide receiver position. If you take a look at I love it. I can't remember. Someone sent it to me. The bust rate in reference to the bust rate. I love this. You would think that the rate on hitting on a first round. This is interesting. And I want to talk about this for a second. I want to think about this. I got the big Dahmer in there as well. But this is interesting. If you take a look by position, the hit rate or the rate of percentage of you drafting a quality position, such as a wide receiver, a quarterback, or whomever, you have to take a look at the hit rate, the rate of people becoming successful. The most successful position right now at 92% is the center position, because there was only, I forgot how many years. I think this is over the last, I think 6 or 7 years. I forget, but there was only 11. No, I think it was like over the last 10 years. There's only 11 centers that were drafted, and there was a 92% hit rate. In reference to quarterback, there's a 46% chance hit rate in reference to finding a successful quarterback in the first round. Now, it's interesting. Now, and maybe think a minute, the hit rate in reference to the wide receiver position and finding a quality wide receiver in the first round is only 27%. And it is the position with the highest percentage of finding a bust, or the highest percentage of that pick becoming a bust and you win with your first round pick, is going to be the wide receiver position at 27%. Again, it's math. I don't make up math. I don't make up math. Zach says, watch the Giants somehow make a run, then extend number 8. Well, no, Bobby Okereke just had his contract renegotiated. And I kept saying dominoes. And there's one, and the Okereke, first it was the Lawrence, then it was the Thomas, then I said the Okereke, and there's one other domino. I'm like a sniper, man. I just hang out in the weeds. People can say what they want. People can talk shit, but I just hang out in the weeds. Oh, Mike Lee says, good morning, Tim, and everyone. Smash that like button. Tim, at least this year's opener will be more exciting, both with the weather and the game. I got to give a shout out. We are James Williams and I, of course, are going to be at the opener. We are not going to be in the standard seats. We're actually going to be in the Hertz suite level. We're going to be in a suite now. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm pretty much sitting everywhere in the stadium, but I've never sat in one of the level 5, five level suite, whatever the fuck it's called. So I've never been in there. I mean, not for the Giant game. I've been in the suite for a Jet game, but I've never been in for the Giant game, so I'm kind of curious to see that. Did you see the new point of emphasis on the illegal formation? Also, dynamic kicks just for more touchbacks. Yeah, the whole illegal formation thing, we're not going to get in that because we want to talk G-Men, but you're right, it was a little screwy. Hey, everyone, does everyone want to go out and take a shot every time the Giants go 3 and out? No, because I'll be really fucking drunk.
That's what she said.
Oh, good morning, Miguel. What's up? Good morning, Stu. I haven't seen Stu in a while. RF, FT in the house. Afternoon, Tim. Stu all says the Ravens and the Chiefs are both really good teams. Hey, to protect. Oh, lunchtime stream. What's up, Tim? How to do a lifetime stream? We should do like a Lifetime channel show for the Giants, you know, or a soap opera as the Giants turn. Because I do think this season is going to be a soap opera. I think you're going to hit a point in the season where the likes of Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns are both going to have those games we've always talked about disappearing. And they're going to be very truculent against the media. And then I think you're going to see a point where Malik Nabers isn't going to get the ball as much as he thinks he should. And that's going to turn out to be even worse. Because I think he's going to be vocal about it. So it's going to be interesting. The Ravens lost that game due to poor clock management of Jackson. Need to spike the ball after the completion, and instead he lost an additional 10 to 15 seconds. I love it. Someone posted on Twitter yesterday. No, it was this morning that with Zane Flowers when Jackson missed him. And this person was like, hey, you know, if that was Daniel Jones, what would the internet be like? I mean, what would Twitter be like if that was Daniel Jones' throw? And I just answered back and said, well, you know, what would it be like if Daniel Jones was a 2-time league MVP? You're allowed, if you're a league 2-time MVP, gotten your team to the playoffs multitudes of times, even though you choked a little bit. Yeah, you're allowed to miss once in a while. It's okay. As DJ goes, So does our season out the fucking door. Stu says X-worthy. Yeah, he did. Xavier Worthy did look really good. Mr. Jackson's in his house saying, do you even get mad? Why does it even matter anymore? I don't get mad. You know what? That's a great point. That's a great point. Don't get mad. Actually, I don't get mad. Because you're right. You know what? I've even said this before. James and I are going to the game. We're going to get there like around 10 o'clock. We're going to find some people to mooch off of tailgating because I'm just got over COVID and I don't feel like hauling out the grill and everything else. So we're gonna go mooch some beers and some food from some people. Don't know who. Just gonna go around. I usually have a fairly easy time getting food and alcohol at the tailgates. Not because they know who I am. I'm just a very personable person that people just like talking to me. Oh yeah. Should I start Malik or Wandell over Wandell? Fantasy? It depends on your league. What is the emphasis of your league? I would personally start if you're looking for, if you're getting points for receptions and yards and touchdowns, or are you just getting points for yards and touchdowns? Or what do you? I personally would start Malik because of the fact that I think he is going to be the focal point. I think Wandell will have more receptions, but I also think Wandell is going to be 5 yards in a cloud of dust. So I would definitely, if you had the two, I would definitely go Malik because this is actually a good game to start a giant wide receiver. And so, I think that who's texting me now? Don't they know I'm working? No, they don't know I'm working. Let's see. My guess is between 6 to 8 games will be decided by 10 points or less. Did you see somehow the new? Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was crazy. We talked about that for a second. Raven, we got that one. As DJ goes, we got that one. Let's see here. Yeah, I really have a feeling that Daves is the only one that knows what to do. I hope that doesn't bottom out completely because I want to keep Daves. It's interesting because I've said this before. After some of the antics on the sidelines with David last year, my Madden crush kind of went away. But after watching some of the Hard Knocks and some of the other, reading some of the other things in the interviews and things, you're kind of like, Dable may not be the problem. Dable, if he can control his temper and teach a little, I think Daves can, be a good head coach. It might be the person who's, I think it's the person who's buying the groceries and managing the checkbook that could be the problem. Go Pack tonight. Dominic Palmer in his house. Good afternoon, all. Kadarius Toney, lol. I didn't want to say Kadarius Toney's name because Dom and I were ones that we did not want Kadarius Toney. We did not. With that live stream was kind of funny. Our own knucklehead Kadarius Toney was more lucky than good. All he needed was what Mike Glennon, his quarterback. Dominic Palmer. Does Bryce Ford Wheaton have changed love? That's Zach Attack's favorite player. Greetings, all, says Eric. So let's see here. And a lot. The only misses we traded for Billy Price. Oh, dear Lord. Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. Good afternoon. How's it going? Bryce Ford Wheaton is Preston Parker 2.0. Stop signing West Virginia wide receivers. David Sills 14.9. The only miss at center, we traded for Billy Price. I thought that was what you meant. Question out of interest. Q out of interest. What consistent what I'm looking at on FanDuel. And also if you go to it's sports, it's what is it? 247sports.com also has it. So that's what I was looking at as well. This is just a breakdown of the number of picks. Tim is moving on up. Yeah, I'm kind of, like I said, I've never been to the suites at the Giant game. I've never been to the Hertz Club suites. I've been to the commissioner's room, commissioner's club, or whatever it is. I've been to the mezzanine, the mezz club, the coaches club. My normal seats is my other seats as well. So I'm kind of excited to see exactly what's going on in the suite level. So James goes, well, as long as they have the pork. I'm like, don't think they have the pork up here. Let's see here. Start Malik. True Gooner. What's going on, True Gooner? True Gooner. This is the show that Dadam is on. He's on the True Gooner. That's the European football show. It's a good show to watch. I tried watching it the other day, and I talked about it before because I didn't understand. Three-quarters of it because there was a the polyweek put him in the boot. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? And people say I have an interesting accent.
That's what she said.
Oh, I wouldn't have had any Giants players on your fantasy team. No, I would take Malik Neighbors. But go check out True Gooner if you're into soccer. I believe that's more about the Arsenal soccer stuff. Let's see here. Salute, Tim. What's up, Mr. Fistics? Exciting start to the season. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Anyone going to the game? Anyone in the chat going to the fucking game, man? Because this is the first year that I didn't get any barbecue invites. And I've already said it. I'll come to the barbecue. I'll come to the tailgate. But I want you to just know I'm not bringing anything. And it's a lie. I'm not bringing anything. I'm bringing James. I know. How could you want to pass that up? Me and James eating your food for free. Vegas has Dave's almost likely coach to be fired this season. I didn't know that. Would I have him fired this season? Make sure you hit the like button. We got 40 people in the room. We got another 40 something on the Twitter sphere. Make sure you hit the like button on the chat. We might stream a little bit during the game on Sunday. We don't know. Chris King TV. If Joe can't draft worth a shit, he really can't. If you look at his percentage of hits and misses, Joe is not. Joe is not. Can the Giants? Or will the Giants fire Shane and keep Dable? Mr. Fitness, here's the question in reference to that. And I've said this before, and I said this is why I think Shane is going to be a failure as a GM. Here, he could go find success someplace else. When he initially took this job, there was always this understanding that you go out and you make your mark by finding your own guys. That you go out there and you find your players, you find your head coach, you find all this stuff, and you make the team yours. And we are now going on 3 years under the Shane Dable regime. And I kind of chuckle a little because of the fact that it's one of those things that if you look at what they're doing, you look at what's going on, you kind of just shake your head because it's like, we said this before, has this team improved since like 2020? Is the 2020 team better than this team, or is it worse than this team? And I think that's what you have to think about. And has Shane brought in the talent and made this mark on his team? Has he made this team? Rich McKay, former general manager over with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I remember he gave when I was working over in Tampa, he gave a speech, or he was on a conference call, I can't remember, and he was actually literally talking about making this was in 2003 after the Bucs won the Super Bowl and they went 7-9. How about making the team his own? How about making the team your own? Doing things that are going to make the team yours. And one of the biggest things one of the things he talked about is one of the biggest things you could do is you draft your own quarterback. He also drafted Chris Sims, to find that guy because he had Brad Johnson. So he's trying to create his own team identity. But when you come in as a general manager and you basically, we don't know if it was a complete edict that says you cannot get a quarterback, that you have to ride with Daniel Jones. It's almost like, did he take the job with the prerequisite that Daniel Jones had to be his quarterback? Because we keep looking at quarterbacks for 3 years. We look at quarterbacks. Look at them all the fucking time. We like to window shop, but the problem is this: we never buy one. We don't even buy one in the bargain bin. We don't even go to the clearance section at Walmart and get a Joe Milton. Not that I'm comparing Joe Milton to clearance section, because I like Joe Milton. But he never put his true stamp of his identity on this team. He's like he cut and paste pieces. Because someone asked me yesterday, what's the Giants' identity on defense? And I said, well, if you go back to Shane Bowen's tenure in Tennessee, it's a bend not break defense. He's gonna not blitz a lot. He's gonna generate a rush with 4 guys. These are the things that he is gonna do. And I remember when I tried to explain this to people when we first signed Bowen, and people's like, well, you don't know anything. No, I was like, no, I just watched the majority of the Tennessee Titan games. So I would say that would potentially should be our philosophy on defense, which is why you went out and got what you hope is going to be a dominant front 4. But the problem is Shane Bowen, outside of a couple of Jim Schwartz years in between, has never had a good job or had a good time managing his secondary. So you would think with Banks and Blank, that would be our identity, but you're going to probably only have to rush for it because you're going to have to drop an extra guy into coverage. So I think that would be the identity of the defense. But then I love it because then you watch Joe Shane during Hard Knocks, and he asks Shane Bowen directly, what do you need to make this defense work? 2 linebackers. How about Brian Burns? Do you fucking listen? Because evidently you want Burns anyway, so just fucking go out and get him. So it's the same thing on offense. What's our identity? We blasted Jason Garrett for years to running this vanilla dink and dunk offense. But even under the boy wonder, Kafka and Brian Dable, if you take a look at the offense, it's the same offense. Now you tried to add some more explosiveness, but you still have the same quarterback, and the same offensive philosophy, which probably doesn't fit the team. So at the end of the day, the architecture of all this, from the head coach to the quarterback to everyone else, is Joe Shane. But here's the biggest problem. You fire Joe Shane, a true general manager will want to come in here and say, I want to hire my own head coach, and I want to lose with my own quarterback. Shane never did that. That's all I'm going to say. Tim, please forgive me. All right, you're forgiving me. You're forgiven. But I see 7-9 wins. I know Shane is a little weird, but in Dable we trust. I could see it could be 7 wins. I don't think, like I said before, I don't think they're making the playoffs, but it could be 7 wins. Look, I forgive you. Stu said, no, Tony, he got cut. Emmanuel. Yo. Let's see here. Kings TV. Chris Kings TV. I would take Wandale over Slayton yards this week. If you're going to go yards, like I said, because some leagues give you points for reception, some leagues it's just yards and touchdowns. It really depends. If you're going to go pure yards, I would definitely take Slayton over Wandale. We got a new member to the online Big Blue family. Join the member. You get all your videos early, sometimes even a day early. You get priority seating at Poppycockers. Just ask the Dahmer. But thank you. We always enjoy new members. I heard that discussion that we had with Wink during the Dallas game. When he's told the Wink that he didn't want to blitz so much, he wanted more zone coverage, but Lamb and Cooper, Wink didn't listen. Dabes is pissed. Because honestly, if I'm the defensive coordinator and I have the pedigree that Wink has, I probably wouldn't listen to the head coach either. Because you also need to remember this as a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. You have to feel the flow of the game. And the flow of the game that you see in front of you, you have to follow that. You got to follow the feel. You got to reach that upper level because your mind, body, and soul must be one. You got to find the glow. Always have to drop a Bruce Leroy reference. So I'm not upset with that. Well, Skyline says, I've been saying it for years. We let bad players stay and we let good players walk. Julian Love, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney. Yet we need to pay Jones $160 million. Paid him $160 million. Give him $160. Yeah, you're not wrong. And it's amazing. Could you imagine if you had Love, Ingram? Can you imagine your secondary? Love and Ingram. Not Ingram, excuse me. Love and McKinney. Starting safeties. And you have the version of Evan Ingram in Jacksonville playing in New York. I think a lot has to do with the quarterback. And you have a quality back like Saquon Barkley. Yeah. Yo, Daryl and OBB family, football's back. I'm predicting Jones will force me to pull my non-existent hair out before the half this Sunday. I hope not. I hope not, man. But like I said, I'm gonna be fucked up in a suite, so I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good either way this weekend. Now I'm happy. It wasn't like I wasn't happy before. I'm always excited to go to home openers. I don't remember the last time I missed a home opener. I mean, I'm very excited about home opener. Plus, you get the free coin. They're doing the commemorative coin for everyone going. I get to hang out. I get to hang out with James. That's the worst. That's worth the price of admission as it is. Zach Attack says, Rob said Bryce Ford Wheaton is Jerry Rice 2.0. Yes, I do remember that. Mr. Fitness, I'll be at the Atlanta game this weekend or the Atlanta Giant game. Daves should have paid more attention to our offense for the Dallas game. That's why we lost. You're right. Which Dallas game are we talking about? The opener or the other Dallas game? Because the opener was just a what you call it? It's just shit show waiting to happen. FDR, what's RFD say? I would pick up Gano because field goals are the only way to secure points with DJ. You're gonna have to hope someone's gonna get behind the secondary. I think we can get behind this secondary. You got a couple older safeties. Are the one guy that's been on the league forever. You know what's funny? We did it on the. I know a lot of people didn't watch the show with Dom because Dom was like what I like to refer to as a show killer. We broke down the offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings, and we found it interesting that I believe 4 of the 5 starters were taken either in the first or second round for the Vikings. They drafted their own offensive line. What kind of shit is that? Yeah, I like Tracy too. Yeah, I like Tracy, but again, we're asking a lot from a guy that barely played running back in college, played 1 year of running back in college, and really was really not positionally. That wasn't really his position even in high school. So we're asking a lot for this guy. Well, Mike Lee says, well, Dave is the next on the line and firing. They've already went through coaches and coordinators. Yeah, we've talked about that before. They have a very interesting philosophy of the Giants. And we've talked about this going back for a while. First thing they do is they fire a position coach. Like, let's say, offensive line coach. Then they fire a coordinator. Let's say Wink. And then the next year, that's when they fire the head coach. This has been their modus operandi for like 15 years. Mr. Fitness says, I put the bad drafting on our GM because he picked them and the bad coaching on the coaches. He hired them and they both have below average. It's not bad. Yeah, I agree. You're right. Can't blame him for the players that aren't playing up to par. We thought we were getting to be really good. But the question is this, and we've talked about this, Stu. You can coach. How are we having talent leave that is blossoming outside of Kadarius Toney? Are we not coaching up our guys? Are we not? You know, there's been plenty of players that left this team. That Matt from Connecticut all of a sudden is a player with the 49ers. Will Hernandez had a good year with Arizona. All of a sudden, these guys that are going places all of a sudden can play. Hey, Glenn, sorry, I'm watching, but I'm not expecting nothing but the management fault its own ship on no team wins with a loser quarterback. Management needs a next chance with a better quarterback. It'll only be if he flames out this year. We've only had 6 years wasted. Come on, the grand scheme of things for a franchise and season ticket holders, that's nothing because season ticket holders like me are stupid enough when you keep coming back. It's when they start getting affected in the pocketbook. That's when shit. That's when shit really hits. That's when shit really hits teams. Now we got to go bargain basement and get DeVito. No Tommy DeVito. Culture, what's up, Swing Culture? Can we get a new quarterback? Yes, we could, but will we? I don't know. Bruce says we need a decent quarterback and number 2, a lockdown corner. No, this is what we need. Not that I'm saying that Dory Jackson's not going to come in and play well, but he gave up 54 receptions for 756 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. Dory Jackson has not played well since his second season in the league, which is one of the reasons his ass sat in free agency. Because when you got a 5'11 corner giving up over 700 yards on 54 receptions, we need a CB2. I think we need a safety still. I think we technically may even need 2 safeties still. We need some linebackers. This is the team that was known for linebackers. You got Lawrence Taylor sitting behind me. I got the Crunch Bunch picture over there as well. I mean, this was we had Harry Carson going back to Sam Huff. I mean, this is the team, the venerable Carl Banks. I mean, this was the team that was known for their linebackers in '86. The Giants had linebackers that could start for any team. And Byron Hunt, Robbie Jones, and Andy Hedden. They could have started for any team back in the '80s. I believe the average Giant linebacker was 6'3", 245. You also had Gary Reasons on that team, Lawrence Taylor, Pepper Johnson. You had all these guys. Now we have Bobby Okereke and McFadden got benched last year and had the most missed tackles out of his position. We talked about this with Dom. I don't think if I'm Minnesota and I have Aaron Jones and Ty Montgomery or Ty Montgomery? I can't remember the other guy's running back. He played with a running back last year. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I stay away from the middle of the field and I just run off tackle on both sides. And I run directly at Thibodeau and Kayvon. Thibodeau and Burns. I run directly at both of them. Because I don't think either one of them are quality enough in reference to their run defense to have the mutual understanding how to play their position and hold their assignments and hold their edge. Just always like to throw that up. That's our star pick getting blocked by 4-foot quarterback. But that's what I do. If I'm Minnesota, I run right at the edges, right at them. Don't even think twice about it. Because if you have Azeez Ojulari and McFadden on the other sides, I don't think either one of them are strong enough to maintain their assignments on the edge. You're going to have to move Okereke to the outside. That's what I would do. Can we just get a new quarterback? Sure we could. According to Pro Football Focus, the Giants have the 29th ranked D-line with only Sexy Ledexting. Well, if you're looking at D-line, I mean, I'm not Nacho. I'm not a big fan of. I've never been a big fan of the Nacho man. Hopefully DJ Davidson rolls him. Dexter Lawrence is the defensive line. He is the middle of that line. That's what I'm saying. You want to take away the Giants' best player, and you want to take away the advantage that you think the Giants have over the Vikings. If you are the Minnesota Vikings, run to the outside, either side, and go to a short passing game. And when you lull the safeties in, you take a shot with Addison and Jefferson. That's what you do. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm not sitting here thinking this is something that's earth-shattering. But if you look at the Giants' talent, you figure you're not going to pick on Banks. You might put Jefferson on Banks or find a way to get him one-on-one and see what happens. But you can pick on Adoree. You may have Tyler Nubin starting. You may have Drew Phillips as your nickel. The tight end position for the Vikings is not very vaunted with the Ensign not playing. What's his name? Oliver's good. Oliver's okay. He's not great. Reminds me of like a Jake Ballard. So you hope that the Giants can maintain their assignments in the middle of the field against a tight end. I don't know what they can do about the running back. But like I said, if I'm the Vikings, I attack the edges, dink and dunk, wait till the safeties creep in, because like under Patrick Graham, where people like Logan Ryan and Peppers and Love and everyone else, they played more positionally in the box. You wait until they become those quasi linebackers, and you attack. You attack the outsides. You try to get someone behind the defense, then hope to God that Sam Darnold can hit him. That's what I do. I would just run right at him. Because like I said, neither Burns or Thibodeau, their strength is not in stopping the run. It's going after the quarterback. Allegedly. And like I said, we have a young enough safety and Tyler Nubin and a bad safety in Dane Belton that you know they're going to creep. And if you are a smart quarterback, which Sam Darnold is not at times, you are going to see them moving forward and not backpedaling. And if I'm the quarterback and I'm calling out the mic, I'm going through the line, and I look at the safety and I see either one of the safeties coming in, I'm hoping hopefully he's not smart enough to shift that play and take your shot. That's what you do. You just lull them in a little bit. Do draft a Kayvon, then traded for another Kayvon Thibodeau type, then ran on the edge. It kills us. You're right. Hot take: Chapman gets 6 to 7 sacks this year. Okay. I could see it. I don't know how, but I could see it. How's it going, Tim? You know how it's going? I got over COVID just in time to go to the Giant game. That's called life. Catching bullets with your teeth. I've reached the upper level. My mind, body, and soul are one. Because there's only one place. You have not looked for the master. And there is where you will find him. You gotta stop texting me. What do we got here? I get what you're saying about feelings, but it's the head coach, and defense was getting toasted. So was the offense. The offense couldn't do anything. Alex, what's up, Alex Sports? What's up, Tim? I expect 2 to 4 wins this year. No point to being optimistic when you just be disappointed anyways. Yeah, but I think they're going to get more than 4. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to go 1-1 and then drop like 7. And then win some games that they shouldn't, and then we're going to lose the first overall pick. Let's put Adoree at free safety and put Pinnock at strong safety. Having Adoree at free safety will. I said the same thing. I've been saying the same thing, Zach. I would put if I was the Giants, I would if I had. Here's your phrase. If I was the Giants and had a better secondary, and you wanted to bring back Adoree Jackson, I would put him at safety. Do a Charles Woodson type scenario. Do a little Deion Sanders. Corners that they moved over to the safety position. Do something like that. Do a little Rod Woodson too. He's got the skill set. He does have the skills to pay the bills. I agree. Watching last night's game, seeing two pro NFL teams, quarterbacks, and Lamar and Mahomes was interesting to see since I'm stuck watching Danny Pennies. I'm really curious to see tonight the Eagle game. Let's see here. Mr. Lowe says DJ never had to compete for a spot, and that's the problem. That is the problem. I hated what they did to Eli Manning that last year because you knew Shermer was going to go right to the kid. So they allegedly gave Eli a shot for a couple of games. And then it was like, well, you know what? We're bad. So let's just start Daniel Jones. I think that you knew you were going to push Eli out, so you might as well have just you gave him 4 games. He was 1-3, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You knew he was that. You knew after that last year, which I thought it was funny in 18. People are like, well, Eli Manning's washed up. This was 18 was his washed up season when they went 5-11, and I laugh because I think to myself, we wish Daniel Jones had this type of washed up season. 66% of his passes were 4,299 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. That was a washed up season for Eli Manning. If those were Daniel Jones's final number, the Daniel Jones fanboys would be dancing naked in the street. But in 18, that was a bad season for Eli Manning. At this point, start Drew Lock. He will suck at least at not seeing DJ. I think that's why everyone loves Tommy. It's not DJ. I do think that's a point. I do think a lot of people like Tommy DeVito, Jersey Shore Tommy, because of the fact that it's not Daniel Jones. I will be 100% honest. I had and had more excitement and had more fun at games last year when it was Danny DeVito, Jersey Shore, Tommy.
Wait for the beat to drop.
I'm still sick. I'm not going to do it. But I had more fun watching. I had more fun going to Giant games when Daniel Jones wasn't there. There was more. You know what's really fucking weird? Some that I've been going to Giant games since '76. I had more fun and there was more energy and excitement when you had Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito starting than over the last 5 years with Daniel Jones. Love me some Gary Reasons. That big hit against Bobby Humphrey in Denver on that 4th and 1. We had good linebackers in the 80s. Even the Bears had good ones. We did. Hall says, King Chris TV says, that's all facts. Alex says, I didn't get to how the Giants did not get Daniel Jones real quarterback competition. Drew Lock is better, but not a game changer. Tyrod was a better backup. In my opinion, we couldn't have gotten Gardner Minshew. I think the porn stash only went for like $8 million. We're paying DeVito $5 million. But the problem is, if you go out and get a Gardner Minshew, who is now starting for the Raiders, you would literally have had to have given him the opportunity to be the starter. And I don't think the Giants wanted to do that. Tibbs and Evans, big disappointments. Hey, listen, man. Listen, Stu, dude. How can you fuck up the 6th and the 8th? Oh, put whatever it was. 6th and 10, man. How can you fuck it up? Well, Joe, Shane, you did a good job holding my beer. Nick says, good morning, Tim. Good afternoon, Tim. Mike Lee says, hasn't that been the game plan against the Giants in Shermer days? No. The game plan going back to the Judge days was attack the line. Go up the gut, up the middle, off left, tackle left, off tackle right. Then go over the top. But no, I'm literally saying what they should do is, like I said, just attack the edges. Dink and dunk. Wait till the safeties creep. Go deep with Jefferson and Addison. And on a nice weather day, that could be ugly. I miss KT. They should have done next. I'll trade for KT. Clone. That's what probably go wrong. Nothing can go wrong. Our defense gets toasted last year because they played 90% of the games last year. Or, yeah, they got toasted because they were on the field way too much last year. James says, I see the Giants winning 3 to 5 games. Bill Belichick will be the new Giants head coach in 2025 and GM. OG, what's up, Tim? I'm late. You are late, but that's all right. Eli should have been gone before that year. Tim, stop. The year before that was 17, was the 3-12-1 season. And he actually had 3,468 yards, 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I was there in the last game against Washington. It was a New Year's Eve game. It was negative like 20. And we literally sat on that field and watched this kid play because we all in the stands, and there was hardly any one of us there. We all thought that was going to be Eli Manning's last game. That truly was the thought process of the people in the stadium, that was going to be his last game. And I'm not shitting you. It was that game in that season was literally at one point in time like negative 20 degrees with the wind chill. It was a terrible game to be at. It was a bad game to be at. But you know what? You thought it potentially was going to be Eli's last season. That was a New Orleans Darkwa game. But but at the end of the day, you just have to think about it. Was it, did Eli have a good season the following year? Yeah. You throw for over 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Yeah. You had a good game. But I think a lot of people don't want to give Eli his credit for that. But at the end of the day, like I said, you ran Eli out of town. You ran Eli out with the bad decision in reference to Geno Smith. I never blame Geno Smith for that fiasco. You ran, then you run him out for Daniel Jones. And I gotta say, I do blame them for the Daniel Jones fiasco and what they did to Eli. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that if you take a look at it, they did Eli. For a guy that gave you 2 championships, you did Eli dirty a little bit. Here's a picture. This was us at that game. That was the final game of the season. That was the Washington game. That was me and my boy hanging out. And literally, like I said, game time, it was with the wind chill was like negative 20 degrees. And I remember because it was New Year's Eve. And my wife was like, you are going to freeze to death. And we never left the sideline. I have a feeling the Giants will lose on Sunday and Daniel Jones will have 2 interceptions. Here's my thing about this game. I was talking to James. I think Daniel Jones goes 17 for 30, 189, a touchdown, an interception. Giants win at 21-17. The social media and YouTube segment of the Giant content creators goes fucking nuts. And it's like, he's back. He's back. Because that's the way it was 2 years ago. He's back. Look at those numbers. 3,000 yards, 15 touchdowns in only 16 games. And then you take the looks of last night. Jackson almost had 400 yards of offense. Mahomes almost 300 yards, a touchdown, interception. This is the first game of the season. So, but we take mediocrity here with Daniel Jones and think it's the greatest thing ever. James Betcher ruined the 18th season. He kind of did. Mr. Robert says, hey, Tim, I wouldn't be surprised if Mara does what he always does during a losing season and forces Dable to try and win games to keep up morale. And then they play themselves out of a good pick. I can't wait to start looking at a lot of these quarterbacks. I started looking at the quarterbacks in college last week. I'm gonna try to focus a little bit. Someone asked me, who I liked in this year's draft, and I really don't know yet because it's only been like one game. Some guys played 2. OG says, y'all remember when Baker Mayfield said that Daniel Jones and Giants were drafting? He was right so far. Yeah, and he got blasted for it. You're right. Turned out to be right. Nick says, I think we will go 2-0, then we lose 7 straight. I think that's the general consensus. But like I said, Nick, what worries me is I could literally see the Giants winning 21-17 on Sunday. But I could also see them then losing 35-10. So it's kind of a weird game. What's up? So Danny DeVito and Tyrod Taylor bought the excitement. They sure did. I could literally tell you the energy in that stadium was more pumped when it was DeVito after the Jet game and Tyrod than I saw in 5 years for Daniel Jones outside the first season. Felt like we had a chance to actually win with them. We did. To me, Daniel Jones never looked confident at home or on the road. Tommy DeVito at least cared about getting 1 yard, if nothing, and shutting up his doubters. Tommy DeVito's not an NFL quarterback. The Saints exposed him into that. Hell, the fucking Jets Home Depoters exposed him to that. Tommy DeVito was a nice story. He was one of those quarterbacks that had a few game run, then the wheels fell off the bus when the league got film. He doesn't have the arm strength. It's funny, and I'm not trying to be mean to him, but Chad Pennington laughs at Tommy DeVito's arm strength. So, I mean, like I said, he's a good kid, but there's a reason why he went to Syracuse. There's a reason why he went to Illinois. There's a reason why he went undrafted. DeVito had more courage in games than Jones does, and DeVito has a noodle arm that only a little bit better than Jake Fromm's. He's got a better arm than Jake Fromm. I tell you, man, Jake Fromm was one of these quarterbacks. If you looked at, and we've talked about this before, Jake Fromm, man, from the moment he walked out on the field, he had this look. They said he had command of the huddle, command of the playbook. He drove his team to the line with certainty. He looked around. 53 is the mic. Red left, red left. Everything was fantastic until they hiked the ball. I was like, when our quarterback can't throw a 5-yard out, I think we got some problems here. I can't believe we gave up on Spags. Spags was here twice. We didn't give up on him. He was here twice. Sometimes you're just better at other places. Pal Rider says, I've seen more shit about Jones is dating on social media than our first week matchup. The state of this team is 100% dog shit. Isn't she like 40? Just saying. Last year, the league figured out Daniel Jones running the ball. Once they took that away, that's the problem. That's a good point. Everyone knows Daniel Jones can run. It's not a secret. Go back early in his career. His biggest runs came against the likes of Washington, Philadelphia, and Dallas, because all three of those defenses played him with more zest. They played against him in reference to overcommitting to stopping him and to getting after him. They over pursued Daniel Jones. And Jason Garrett, you got to give credit to Garrett. He took advantage of the over aggressiveness of the defense. And most of Jones's runs were designed runs. Now, the problem is last year, after the other season, teams figured out, okay, keep him in the pocket and let him throw. You don't need to he's not Vic. You don't need to put a spy on him, but make sure the middle of the field isn't open for him to step up and run. And once that happened, and you literally had to rely on him as a passer, because when you pay a guy $160 million, why would you think he would be able to pass the ball? You get those deep shots that he either overthrew or he underthrew. That's what the league's going to do again this year. Keep him in the pocket. Don't let him run. Facts. Daniel Jones always looks scared when he's on the field. He really does at times. What's very amusing to me is how bad the Giants played against Dallas and Philly and the Parsons and Smith draft. They panicked when they could have had Parsons. They did panic. I remember Parsons being there, and I remember that's live stream, and we were all like, "Oh, geez, man, we're gonna get Parsons. We're going back to the Giant linebackers." Yeah, Devontae Smith went to the Eagles. Parsons went to the Cowboys. Joe Rev in his house. Chris says, make Saquon Barkley, taking Saquon Barkley for a touchdown tonight, guys. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not a big fan of overseas games, especially this early. But a lot of times what you do with these overseas games, you run. And I think Saquon Barkley is going to have 2 touchdowns tonight. Mike says, Daniel Jones is what happens when an owner falls in love with the quarterback, overdrafts him, and wills him to success. If he would have willed him to success, I'd have been happy. Maybe he left him in the will, and he's going to get success done. Daniel Jones will never throw that much. He can't even stay healthy on the field. I'm sore. I'm not for everyone making $40 million a year. Yeah, that's true. Zach says, I have a bad feeling that refs will be awful this year. If you take a look at this illegal formation shit and all this other stuff, and I'm worried about the hip drop tackle still too. It was kind of weird watching football yesterday. It really was. There was moments you were like, is this football? Am I watching American football, or am I watching like some kind of version of German football? I like Carson Beck. I mean, I gotta wait and see what Carson Beck has. I gotta see. I gotta see. Or Cam Ward. Cam Ward did not have a good game the other day. But again, it's one of those other things. Eli Manning 2000 last season threw for more than 4,300 yards. That's why we were talking about that, Mike. It wasn't his last. His last best season was 18. He threw for 4,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Then they had the 19 season where they drafted Eli. I mean, drafting Daniel. And I've said this. I said this. You probably weren't here, Mike. I said that Daniel Jones panty boys would cream themselves if Jones threw for 4,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. But in the annals of Giants history, that's a bad season. Remember, Tim, the Giants also treat their first few weeks like the preseason, so I wouldn't be surprised if they struggle or even lose. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose at all. I really am not. I would not be shocked. Like I said, I think they're going to win. I think we're going to win 21-17. There's going to be this happy joy feeling around Giant content creators. And then the wheels are just going to fall off the fucking bus, and then they're going to make every fucking excuse under the sun, and we're going to have to deal with that bullshit because I'm tired of the pendulum swinging so much. You figure most of them must have some really strong quads jumping off and on the bandwagon so much. Jake from Brain into DJ. Yeah, okay. I wish I could have seen 26 and Neighbors in the same. Yeah, well, that would actually would have been interesting. That really would. Kevin says we're talking for tanking for Archie in 2027. Yeah, one more year of DJ, and Kate slobbers all over him. The shit that we go through. If you combine From with DJ, you'll have a decent quarterback, or at least a quarterback that can read defenses. Hey-oh. Elijah Manning, 2018, 42.99, 21 touchdowns, 11 receptions, sacked 47 times. Wow, he produced and was still sacked a crazy amount of times. That's what I don't get. Oh, Calvin, I love this question because I don't know how long you've been watching the show, but I love this question because I have been bringing this up since the end of the 19 season. Tim, honest question. You ever seen DJ make an audible or check out of a play? I got blasted my wrap-up video for the 19 season because I said one of the things that DJ needs to learn is how to read defense and check out of bad plays or change into better plays and make that call, make that audible. And I have been saying for years that one of the things that he does not do consistently is audible out of plays. Great example. The Texans preseason game before the 46-yard pass to Slayton, Giants called a timeout. The timeout was called from the sideline because evidently Dable saw something that he did not like. Your 6-year quarterback didn't call that timeout. Your 6-year quarterback didn't check out of that play. And to your point, and I have been saying since 19, he doesn't check out of plays. He doesn't call that audible. Every once in a while, yes, you will see him. And I actually have pointed it out on occasions. He checked out of that play. He audibled out of that play. But when your head coach during a preseason game has to take a timeout because he didn't see something, he saw something that he didn't like against the defense, and your 6-year quarterback didn't do that, you got a lot of problems. You got a lot of problems. No, he doesn't. And in year 6, you figured he would. Year 5, you figured he would. Year 4, you figured he would. Year 3, you figured he would. So, Montana. No, I'm not. Well, I got COVID. If you're looking for some good country type, bluegrass type music, go to Montana channel. I watch his videos. Very talented. Kay Adams is 11 years older than Daniel Jones. Maybe she can teach him how to read a defense. Mr. Alvarez says, I would take a hard look if there were the Giants of Cam Ward, Talon Green, Arkansas quarterback Will Howard. Those three have the dual threat ability that would fit the current Dable offense. We got a long way to go before the draft. It's amazing, and I'm not just talking about you, Mr. Alvarez, because a lot of people are talking about this. It's amazing the draft was just a couple months ago. We haven't even played the first game of the season yet. And there is a large segment of the Giant fans are already talking about 2025, the draft. Nick says the 49ers gave the league the blueprint once they took out 26. The offensive teams were daring him to put the ball, put it where, and that's when the guy, yeah, that's true. Tim, I agree with James Williams. I don't want the Giants to draft a black quarterback next year because he won't get the same treatment as Daniel Jones. I'm a black man saying this. I've said it before. I don't know how much of a racial motive there is for the Giants not to draft a quarterback because you take a look, especially recently, of the lineage. You went 15, 16 years with Phil Simms off and on with Scott, with Hostetler and then Kerry Collins. And then you had the prolific run with Eli Manning. But the fact that they've never taken a black quarterback, even in the later rounds, kind of perplexing a little bit. A team that's been in the league now for 100 years and to never draft an African-American quarterback. It's interesting. It makes you pause a second. Until the organization is run with some fiscal responsibility, we'll never achieve sustained success. You're right. By the way, this is Danny Duds. I have to wait a week before changing my name. I tried to, but Paul, do you know how to say my name on this live stream? I know who you are. I can tell by the picture. I was going to say something, though. Pat DiDonato. He's another winner. Alex Fork says, Dale Jones threw a pick six a couple weeks ago in preseason. This is his 6th year. Unreal. Roy, we get to Roy in a minute. Did you notice how all the Chiefs seem to be getting out all the favorable calls, especially Pat Mahomes? I like the guy, but the refs look like they are favoring him too much. There's always quarterbacks. People said the same thing about the Peyton Manning. You know, people say the stuff about that all the time, and I personally think the calls still balance out. Hell, they're probably saying it about Johnny Unitas. You know, here's the thing. And David, I think this is the thing that bugs us as fans. We're not Kansas City fans. If we were Kansas City fans and going to all these and winning these Super Bowls and having a chance to go for a three-peat, we wouldn't have any problem with this. But we're fans of other teams, so we over-observe everything. And yes, do I think there's a couple calls that people have blown? Yeah. Great example. Jacksonville 2 years ago. Dale Jones, we won that game. Won that game with a 1-yard stop. 2 interceptions were called back on Daniel Jones. Both of those plays were bad calls on the defense. So if you were someone in Jacksonville, I bet you said, well, they're giving the Giants all the breaks. So they're giving Daniel Jones all the breaks. It all balances out. What's up, Roy? Peace from Indian Land, South Carolina. Any truth to the rumor that Mac Jones is coming to the Giants? No, I didn't hear anything about that. I'm glad to see people waking up to how bad DJ is. The problem is it's too small of a. You know what? I got a friend of mine, and he's still kind of in the Navy, but no longer in the Navy. Well, he's in the Navy, but he's not. He's in the Navy. He's still in the Navy, yes. And he was the captain of a strike group, and he was captain of an aircraft carrier. And I remember a long time ago talking about the ships, and I always had a question about like maneuverability on like an aircraft carrier. Like, because you see these movies and you see these aircraft carriers doing all these moves and stuff like this. And, I remember asking him once, I think I was watching the movie Battleship, the really bad movie Battleship. And I asked him about it. And he was like, you know what? It takes forever. Just like a cruise liner with a battleship. It takes or aircraft carrier. It takes forever to steer that ship in a different direction. So maybe DJ fans are like an old battleship. Maybe maybe they're finally making that turn. You know, it takes a while, but maybe you're finally making the turn. They took the word audible out of the Giants playbook. It is too taxing for a slow processor. His Commodore, when was he? The Commodore 286E. What's your thoughts on Shane talking to Pools about not having to look for a quarterback? Ryan Poles, I've said it before. I wanted Ryan Poles. I said if I had a choice between Shane and Poles, I would go with Shane because I liked the philosophy more in Kansas City. And I think Shane at times comes off as he's over his head and he makes stupid comments. And I think, and then sometimes I thought he was like trying to mug for the camera to make himself more, because Hard Knocks was the Joe Shane show. I love it because, you know, when the scene at the kitchen table, well, they were playing Uno. And I remember because his wife had on the fancy outfit and the sparkle hat and all this stuff. And my wife watched the show a little bit and she would come in and out watching it. And she was going, oh, she's so doing this for television. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, her outfit. She goes, that's just strictly TV. She knew she was good. They knew they were recording today. So she put on this fancy outfit with the denim sparkle hat and everything else. She goes, because how many times as a family have we sat around playing Uno and I got dressed up to do it? Just thinking to myself, well, never. And same thing with the fucking Crustables. The rich white man peanut butter and jelly. Oh, I go out and get Crustables. Rest of us just slap some shit on a piece of bread and call it a day. Said it before. I don't really like Joe Shea anymore. The things when DJ's audible is which is very rare, usually ends up being. You know what's funny? It's a great point you bring it up. Zach. It does when he does audible, when he does check out of a play. A lot of times, that play is extremely successful because defenses like, hey, he's not going to check out that shit. Alex Sports says, Dave will have any accountability for Jones getting the huge contract, or is that all on the GM? It's on the GM and ownership. In some ways, I still think that Dable doesn't want Daniel Jones. People are like, how can you show up your quarterback by throwing the iPad at him? And I thought to myself, I would have preferred it if Dable literally took the iPad and cracked Jones over the head with it. So what the fuck are you thinking? Get your head in the game. Madden 2002. Don't ask me why it's on my desk. I have no idea. I have no idea. What do I have here? Also have Inside Drive. NASCAR Thunder 2004. We pretty much have every video game system in history that ever made. We have a wall that's just video games. And evidently I must have taken those out. I don't know why. OG says it'll be week 5 to 6. Neighbors will be frustrated with Daniel Jones. Watch. Someone asked me when will Malik Neighbors ask for a trade? I said 3 minutes, 11 seconds into the third quarter. It occurs to me the offensive season that's actually horrifying. It really does. It really is. It occurred. The non-audibles occurred to me in 2019 at the end of the season, when everyone said I know nothing about quarterbacks. Tim, it's going to be a long season. We are competitive. I would like to see DJ play fearlessly and be aggressive and not be afraid to make mistakes. Tim, I am asking too much. You're asking way too much because that's not him. That's not him. That he doesn't throw caution to the wind. He doesn't. Good example. I'm a biker. I ride Harleys. Been riding Harleys for 20 plus years. And as a biker, there's a philosophy about getting into an accident or laying the bike down. And and you always tell people it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And the problem is this: you can't live like Ricky Bobby. You can't live with the fear that you are going to make a mistake and you are going to crash. You can't live with that fear. You just got to go out there, because when you live with that fear, that causes you to do stupid things, causes you to be overly cautious and make mistakes. You just have to go out there and forget everything else and just ride and have fun. And I think Daniel Jones, to Strider's point, that's what he's got to do, but I don't think he can do that. Hey, Tim, I'm concerned about Sunday versus the Vikings. I'm not surprised if we don't win this one. Shaking my head. I'm not shocked. I've said it before. I personally think we win 21-17, but I would not be shocked if we lost 35-10. I would not be stunned. I've been saying this for years. He can't read defenses and audible, yet we're here is how smart he is. Sorry about the COVID. How many times have you had it? I've had it twice. This is number 3. The first time I had COVID, I didn't know I had COVID. Then I got COVID 2 years ago. And then my son came home sick Thursday of last week. And we thought it was a cold, but evidently it was COVID because he just ran roughshod through the house. I'm talking about him being hurt. Once you didn't have in the offense, you became an easier to defend. You're right. Need DJ to go through his progressions quicker? It's just super duper slow. Tim, You should feel vindicated about hearing what Joe Shane said about Hard Knocks. It shows that if Mara, who wants Daniel Jones, was here, Shane knew Daniel Jones sucked. That's why he'll be back. I never feel vindicated because no one ever apologizes. No one ever apologizes. No, I shouldn't rephrase that. A lot of times when people say these mean, nasty things to me, then like 4 months later, it turned out to be right. Then, some people come back and say, you're right, Tim, I'm sorry. Other people are just mean. People are mean. That's why I don't leave my house. Daniel says, I have an idea to make things better. When he runs out of the tunnel, everyone boo him, call him a shitbag. Yeah, that improves the situation. I'm down for that. I'm good with that. One more week till my birthday. Well, happy early birthday. DJ has been banned for so long, some people don't want to admit it because they live in a fantasy world. Welcome to Fantasy Island. David said, I actually was rooting for Kansas City versus Baltimore last year, and last night I hate San Francisco and was happy Casey won. I just noticed every time they play, the refs the same. Oh, I know. It's yeah, you're not wrong. Let's give them something to talk about. Hit the like button. No, how many likes we have. We have 80 plus people in the room and another 80 plus in the Twitter sphere. The Twitter sphere. We got 33 likes. Let's get to 40 likes because I think that's a good number. I'm going for 40. I'm going for 40 likes. I live in Georgia ATM, and the Falcon fans think they can beat us because of how bad DJ is. It's funny. I picked Atlanta as my sleeper team this year. I did because I think Kirk Cousins coming back 10 months later. I also think that you went out and got the most pro-ready quarterback outside of Caleb Williams in this year's draft and Michael Penix. I think they're going to be in good shape. I think they're allowed to make fun of us. Tim, Battleship was a bad movie. I thought it was giving a perfect 10 somehow. You sunk my Battleship. I would have left that movie in 10 minutes if someone said and gave me 10 thumbs up. Timex Sinclair. Yes, that is a run. That's what it is, what he's running. Yeah, I love how Ryan Pools is cooking right now. Ryan Pools did a great job. Great job. Roy, I forgot you were a Navy veteran. Great analogy to a Navy veteran. I thought about that. I forgot you were a Navy veteran. I saw you in the chat earlier. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting when he was telling me about that. Because like I said, he's been in the Navy. He's been in the Navy forever. And like I said, he was captain of one of the aircraft carriers in a strike group. And like I said, I never thought of the fact that it takes forever to turn that ship around. Because you see, like I said, you see in the movies, it's just like zoom, 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 zoom. But he's like, no, it's a slow, listful turn. It's like it takes a while to change directions. It's not like you're going to stop on a dime and give you 9 cents change. Mark from Barbados. What's going on, Mark? Tim, DJ is gone after the season. Else he balls out. Listen, I don't care. And I've said this to people a million times before. I don't care if Daniel Jones is our quarterback. If he wins. If he has above average stats. If Daniel Jones averaged 3,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 15 interceptions a game, a game a year, plus another 300-400 yards rushing, another 5 touchdowns, I think that's a success, especially if you win games. My problem is this: Daniel Jones has been so horrid for so long, and we don't win. That's my problem. We're not winning. It's a difference if we win. So I don't care who's the quarterback. I have no skin in the game if Daniel Jones is a quarterback or not. It doesn't affect me or bother me in my life in any regards or any way. What affects me is the fact that he is so bad for so long. And I've said this before. I have sat there and racked my brain to try to find a quarterback that's been with the team for 6 years and be like, outside of the 70s and the 80s, maybe parts of the early 90s, where you sometimes would draft a quarterback and then would play for 4 or 5 years, where people see something in the giant organization in him that no one else in the league sees. That's when I start getting a little concerned. If Dames did, as you said, the DJ Fens would be calling for his head. Oh, wait, that happened. Yeah, you throw an iPad at him. Back in high school and college, ever seen the scenes in the movie when they you see the scenes in the movies when the coaches grab your guy by the back, face mask, the coach does that and yell at him? That shit was true. I have been called some of the most vile things by people that were supposed to be mentoring me and coaching me playing. It's just a sport. It's like the whole John Gruden thing about what he put in the emails and everything else and all the other shit. That's just the way football culture was, actually back in the 2000s. That's just the way people talked. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just the way it was. In some ways, it's still that way. But now we've become this kinder, gentler society where everyone's feelings matter. Here's the problem with freedom of speech. And this is what kind of leads me to DJ lovers. Here's the problem with freedom of speech. Everyone wants freedom of speech. And anything they don't agree with, they refer to as hate speech. We have to censor that because that's hate speech. That needs to be censored. Well, the problem is freedom of speech is there so you have the ability to say what you want. And if someone disagrees with you, it's not the end of the world. It's your opinion. It's your right. It's your freedom to speak. But we've become such a society that if something offends us, then we want to censor it. Well, that's not what freedom of speech is there for. Freedom of speech is there so you could say what you want to say without the repercussions. Of course, you don't want to say crazy shit, but even saying crazy shit, you are still protected by the First Amendment. Freedom of speech is for everything, not just the shit we agree with. Just want the team to be good again. We are not asking for white milk toast to become salsa. Not going to happen. Flores is going to bring the pressure. He's going to bring the pain a little bit, I do think. But Tim, I don't want him back. I don't want him back. Oh, dear Lord. It's going to be happening. Don't be shocked. Oh, I think he's going to be back next year. Do you think Neighbors will be Odell Reckons? No, because Odell had a quarterback. Tim, the fourth and third call was questionable, but it was actually a good call. The wide receiver was supposed to block, and he didn't. Baltimore didn't convert. You're right. So, like I said, it all balances out. Do you watch the Jalen Brunson podcast? No. I should, though. We're going to have a Knicks podcast. It's called Knicks Unleashed, the 2025 season. It's a continuation of last year's podcast, Knicks 3-D, the 2024 season. It's going to be here on this channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. Eli knew how to read defense. It sure did. Polls. I thought it was Poles. It is Poles. It's Ryan, Poles. Ask me. 17 up, boys. Plan the parade. Kayvon Thibodeau and Burns both don't chase after the running back when they run away from their side. That's what I'm saying. They're going to run right at him. That's what I would do. If he dies, he dies. Just watching Rocky 4 the other day, too. Hi, everyone. Hi. What's up, Catico, man? I posted a YouTube short to try to inspire us about the New York Giants. You have to try to be positive. I know we're all scared. Okay. A lot of our wins from that year are from Barkley going over 100 yards for a total. You're right. Montana says, we're happy with the effort Joe made to upgrade from. No, I'm not happy at all. I'm not happy at all, man. I have a coworker who's a Bears fan, and he still doesn't understand. I have friends all over this country. And I have friends in multitudes of cities that tell me the same thing. I don't know how you're still. I have one friend, and he's in Baton Rouge, and which is funny because he's not a Saints fan. And the other day I was talking to him, and he literally asked me. He goes, is Daniel Jones still your quarterback? I'm like, yes. Oh my God. Strider says, do you know what's sad about the coaching? What? I challenge my players if they make a mistake. So any team that will do 5 push-ups the next day, I have to complain that I'm too rough on them. You're not allowed to do that anymore. I remember having to run suicides for doing stupid shit, for missing an assignment. Yeah, that's child abuse now. Crossing the line, and then there's social fragility. I agree. Vince Lombardi would have had to been canceled if he's. Oh God, Vince, you watch Vince Lombardi, man. Vince Parcells would be canceled now. Yes, get off my lawn, the Mad Ramblings of a Gen Xer. What a great podcast that is. I hear that's an awesome podcast to watch if you ever want to watch it. It's a great podcast. It's on every place podcasts can be found. Trying to do the YouTube thing, but we're better off as a podcast. Do you know? DJ Pennyboys? And I meltdown one DJ through the iPad. They did. How horrible do you have to be? Would be for a front office sweeping. How I think we're gonna have to be bad. I think if anything, Dable gets shit. I think Dable gets the door, and Shane stays. How do you feel about Dable being in the helmet of DJ? Just unlock. You can't. You can't. You are in the helmet to call the plays, but as you're walking into the line of scrimmage, the helmet turns off. So I don't think he's just gonna. There's not enough time in the huddle and get to the line for him to competitively do anything. The head coach, because if you ever called in plays or been on the sideline when they call in plays, it's so quick. Because the play comes before the headset. You had the hand signals, T formation. You had the hand signals. You had to read the signals, and if you didn't get the signal right, you got to do this, saying basically run it back. So even now with the headset, the coach calls in the play. The play is then given to the players, and then you got to get everyone up to the line. There's not enough time for him to have this pontification for Daniel Jones. The Knicks are the only team that knows how to run a franchise right now. They did, which is killer, man, because you never thought it would be the Knicks that would save New York sports. All Joe did was re-signing the previous general manager's picks, and then made the cap situation worse. I ran suicides, and they are doing girl push-ups. Tim, all I know is girl push-ups is better than suicides. Oh, I would do girl push-ups. We had one defensive back coach, and his thing was push-ups. His thing was push-ups. You make a mistake, you give me 25. Bad enough mistake, you do 50. But you had to do them on your knuckles. Try doing that. That fucking hurt like shit. Do you think retiring Hall of Fame members will unleash the curse on us? I guess we'll find out on Sunday. I think taking Mr. Flaherty's number and unretiring it is going to curse us even more, to be honest. Because I've said this a million times. You didn't just take the first number retired by the Giants. You took the first number retired in NFL history, unretired it to give it to a wide receiver who's yet to catch a pass, yet to play in an NFL game, yet to make an impact. And you're hoping, and then the lunacy, once Neighbors is done with that number, you're going to re-retire it. And then I love it because they're like, well, his family's fine with it. Got a great conversation. They're all fine with it. They're all good. I harken back to the Maris McGuire Sosa chase. When McGuire was approaching 60, getting ready to hit 61, Mara family was there. Mara family publicly stated they are fine with this chase. Their dad would have been proud of this going on, especially since it's another St. Louis Cardinal. How happy they were for Big Mac. Well, when he broke the record, it turned out They weren't happy at all. There's what you say, and there's what you feel and what you really mean. Sometimes you say things for the moment, but then when the moment's over and you are now in the back seat, now you're like, well, this kind of fucking sucks. This guy was on creatine. This guy was juicing. After he broke the record, it came out about how much they really didn't like him. If it wasn't for fantasy football, I'd be miserable all Sundays. I've said this before. I'm so good at fantasy football. Congratulations on winning your 2023 season ticket all member fantasy football league. I won the Giants fantasy football league last year. There's the Eli Manning helmet. I'm so good at fantasy football, I had to stop. My own alumni league. I'm probably the only fantasy football player that got thrown out of his own alumni football league. Because I won it 3 years in a row. And then there was a span, and I think it was like 3 or 4 years, where I think it was 4 years or 5 years, I won 9 out of 10 leagues. And shockingly, as you may think of this, and I know this may shock the hell out of you. I know it's going to shock you. But I wasn't a gracious winner. And believe it or not, in my alumni league, I talked shit throughout the entire league. Throughout the entire league, I continuously talk shit. To the point where they basically said they decided to turn off the what is it called? The chat section of the league. Because like anything else, I mean, you know, I let you know how bad it was. I let you know how bad it was and how awesome I was. And like I said, I always go back to the Kid Rock song, you know, you call me cocky, I say what? I ain't bragging, motherfucker, if you back it up. So imagine, and there was even at one point in one of the leagues, I had to win like 6 weeks in a row just to make the playoffs. So then I won 6 weeks in a row. I rolled through the playoffs. And then the next year, I got banned. It also was probably because at one point in time, I send everyone T-shirts that extol the virtue about how wonderful I am and how much they sucked. Could have been that too. I don't remember. There was a lot of reasons. There was a lot of reasons I probably got banned. Excuse me, I'm dying here. All right, my voice is caving in. In Tim's dictionary, the word humble and gracious winner are permanently removed. No, they're not in there. Humble, gracious, there's not in there. All right, guys, I gotta check out here. My voice is cutting out. I'm gonna go take a rest because I do got a lot of stuff to do. I want to thank everyone for hanging out for as long as we did. No stream on Sunday because I'm gonna be over at the game with James Williams. So you know, hell knows we might stream. We might stream a little bit from the suite. So we will definitely see what happens. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you do all that fun stuff. Make sure you like on the way out. Want to thank everyone for hanging out, hanging in, and getting ready. This is Tim. I've already lost all my energy from the COVID, but you know what? We'll be there Sunday. Have a good night, everyone. See ya. Still not cutting off.